Hello and welcome back to The Current. I'm your host, Heather Cunningham, and today's show is going to be a real treat. Shortly, we will be chatting with Wilmington's own musical talent and rapper, MoeSOS DC, and a little later, we will be laughing about the heartache of 2020. But first, let's get informed with our very own Ian Zeff with Everything in Two. Ian?
Thanks, Heather. On this week's Everything in Two, we're going to take a look at lots of exciting places you can visit here in Wilmington. All right, for all those history lovers out there, we've got just the right places for you. Downtown Wilmington itself is a living piece of history, as it's one of the oldest port cities in America, and you can take a nice stroll through the many historic buildings and homes all throughout. Also, while you're downtown, there are many things you can do. You can view the Cape Fear River or even visit the battleship North Carolina. Also, while you're downtown, you might as well take a stroll on the Riverwalk, which is a perfect place for watching sunrises and sunsets. You should also visit one of the many museums around town. You can go to the Cape Fear Museum, the Museum of the Bazaar, and for you art enthusiasts, go to the Cameron Art Museum. Speaking of art, stop by the Wilson Center and check out all kinds of performances that range from music to live theater. And if theatrics is your secret passion, like me, head on over to the Thalian Hall Center for the Performing Arts. So, if you're one with the outdoors, then you're in for a real treat with great places like the New Hanover Arboretum, Masonboro Island Reserve, Airlie Gardens, and the Burgwin Wright House and Gardens. Now, if that doesn't satisfy your thirst for the outdoors, there are many local parks you can explore, as well as 4 local beaches, such as Carolina Beach, Wrightsville Beach, Fort Fisher, and Curie Beach. That's all for this week's Everything in Two, so let me send you on over to Sarah with a delightful interview with an aspiring artist.
Thanks, Ian. So today we have a very special guest, a young artist named MoeSOS DC. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So you have a new album coming out called Symptoms of Slavery, and it comes out November 11th, right?
Yep, November 11th.
Tell me more about that album and like how you made it and stuff.
Yeah, so I had started putting together just a group of songs probably during the early parts of March into the latter parts of March as well, that were just reflections on society, things going on. There was a lot of just tensions growing around the country with a lot of social injustice, a lot of talks on systemic racism, and especially with the election coming up. So for myself, I found it to be just a very therapeutic way for me to be able to express different emotions I was feeling, get that out in a healthy way, that way it wasn't spewing into other aspects of life. So I put together this group of songs, and originally it was just going to be for myself, like just to be able to have and reflect on. But I started sharing some of the music with close friends. I started sharing it in different virtual concerts and some settings, and I got really nice feedback from it. People were really excited to hear more content like it. So just with, even the climate of everything going on right now, I think people are in a position where they're looking for content that is much more like this, with bars, clubs, entertainment style areas being more so closed down. I think the music people are looking to consume is more music that is listened to in a personal aspect, less of a group setting, more so for them to listen to like when they're driving by themselves in their car, or they're spending time at the house just with themselves. And I think this is a perfect project that fits that. Yeah,
therapeutic for you and for other people as well, to help them through anything as well. And I think in your Instagram post about it, you said it was like your most vulnerable work and stuff. And I think it's really cool that you're going to share it. Yeah. Because I listened to your new EP that you released earlier this year called The Middleman, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Thank you. That was another big step in vulnerability. I'm trying to just learn more of how to express certain like parts of myself as an artist in a just authentic way while still being expressive and not sacrificing the music. I think when I first started making music back in 2015, like I got into rap, hip hop, writing through poetry, and it's a very different medium of going from just writing words down and like sharing the written word to then verbally performing it.
Yeah.
Right. And having to figure that out. So it was a very thin line to walk. And then I think I moved really far away from the vulnerability aspect and just wanted to learn how to make music. And now this is like my approach of taking steps back towards a lot of what drew me into writing in the first place.
So you told us a little bit of like when you started, and did you start, you're from Washington, DC, right?
Yep.
Did you start back in Washington, DC?
I did. It was a random car drive that I was on with my best friend Ty, who is also a musical artist. So check out his music, Ty Tom. But we were taking a ride to his college because he needed to pick up some things he had left after his freshman year and my freshman year. So we are always like really loved music. We had joked about like being rappers or started making music back in high school because we went to high school together. But we never got seriously into it.
Yeah.
And he started playing some songs from some artists. And I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, who are these people? And he was like, dude, these are like some guys at my college that I go to school with.
Yeah.
And they're making music like this. And I was like, nah, get out of here. Like, it's not like, this isn't, you don't know these people. This is like too good. Like, you don't. And it really broke down that wall of like reality of what could be achieved, because music had always felt like something that like was very far off, and actually doing it was something that someone like myself wouldn't be able to easily get into. So during that drive, we made like a little pact, and we're like, you know, when we get back to DC after this drive, we're gonna figure out how to do this for real. So from there, my brother was in school in Los Angeles or Malibu. He went to Pepperdine University, and he was already working on music in the production aspect with some friends out there. So it wasn't necessarily the hardest route for me to navigate into, because I had a lot of people that were into music already. But through my brother coming home that summer, we were both back in DC, and he was familiar with production and mixing and mastering. And I'd asked him to help me take those first steps. And that's when it all started.
Yeah, you never know where you're gonna go if you don't even try.
Exactly. So I do think the first step is always the hardest step, but after you really take that and you see that you're still standing, you know, it's like, okay, I can keep moving down this road and figuring out what is next.
So how has the music shaped you, like from the first EP album, single, to now and your current album? And
so just being completely like authentic and transparent, I think music really helped reroute how focused I was and the decisions I was making in real life, because I'd always respected artists that the music that they were making was true to who they were in reality. You know, like within hip hop especially, it's become a very diluted genre of just certain like themes, motifs that can be like misappropriated, or you see that they are very commercialized, so they sell very well. So certain content aspects to that can become very easy for artists to tap into, even though it's not really what they do in real life. And I didn't want to cross over to that boundary. So, and then I come from a really religious background and upbringing. So I wanted my music to be something my mom could listen to, she could share with her friends. So I like told myself, like, I'm not gonna curse my music. I'm not gonna I want my mom, all her friends, my family to be able to listen to this and be proud of it as well. And then I like hit a crossroad, because the life I was living in reality was different than that in my music. And I knew I didn't want to do that. And I was like, well, if I'm like, you know, gonna be trying to spew a message of positivity in the music, I want people who meet me in real life to say that's not like a facade, or it's not something that, you know, Mo is one way in his music and is a completely different person in reality. So music really pushed me into discovering or pointing out aspects of myself that, you know, I wasn't necessarily adamant on improving or changing in myself as a person.
And I think it's like your artist page, or the link that's in your bio on Instagram. It says like that you hope to bring healing to yourself and to your fans through vulnerability and honesty. And I think like that's what you're talking about, and I think that's really awesome. I think it's definitely something that we don't always get from like people.
Oh yeah, for sure. So thank you.
In music.
Yeah.
So who's your biggest musical influence?
I should have known these questions were coming up. Ample time to review this. So I'll go through a few. I'll probably list like 5 out. hopefully I won't speak on too long, but musical influence, I'd say I first got into like rap and hip hop back in middle school, maybe. I feel like that's when everyone was first kind of getting into like, you know, rap, like hip hop music, or just music that wasn't necessarily radio heavy, like, because I grew up too listening to just straight radio hits, like Ryan Seacrest Top 40 in the morning, all that good stuff. Like, so I was big into rock. I was big into like My Chemical Romance, like All American Rejects, all the popular, you know, rock stuff out, but I hadn't really taken time into figuring what I liked in music specifically. So when I first got into hip hop music, I was really big into Lupe Fiasco. So that is like, and then ever since, like, that has been probably one of my biggest influences in music, just in terms of the vulnerability that he brings with his music, but how much he respects the craft and the artistry of what like hip hop, rap, being an MC is. Yeah, exactly. Like, all the words are super well crafted, put together, makes you think. I can come back to Lupe songs from 10 years later and still hear new pieces that I did not know about when I was first listening to it. So, so Lupe is probably definitely like top of the list. I was really big into Eminem growing up too. I don't know why, like that definitely was way too young. Yeah.
Eminem phase.
Oh yeah, I was
at least
way
on one song maybe.
way too young to be listening to some of that content, and I definitely know why my mom was giving me some side looks now when she like found out what was on my iPod. But yeah, Eminem as well, and then more modern day. I listened to a lot of Masego. I listened to a lot of jazz influenced music. There's a production team out there called Bad Bad Not Good that they do a lot of jazz influenced hip hop. Through the work I do with the live band, I think it's really important for me to find inspiration from kind of all facets of instrumentals like that and stuff. And then someone, oddly enough, I get tons of comparisons to this person. So I now, you know, instead of like trying to run away from it, I more so study their music as well as Jaden Smith. When I first was coming up, I got a lot of people were saying like, you sound like Jaden Smith. And this was before Jaden Smith was like, I don't know, had his like little cool cult following or whatever you might have it. So I do remember the first time I recorded music, I listened back and like in my head, I said to myself, I sound like Jaden Smith. And I was kind of scared, but no, so that's, so yeah, so Lupe Fiasco, Eminem, Masego, Bad Bad Not Good, Jaden Smith.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can do it, why can't you, you know?
Exactly, you know, exactly. So
it's good to have influence too. So how has society's current climate and everything affected your music and your creative process and everything?
Yeah, no, it's definitely helped because I've been having just more open conversations with friends in my life because, you know, coming from DC, where I was raised, it was very much so just straight minority present. So I didn't have a lot of conversations with people with differing opinions on, you know, the climate of the world. Everyone from where I grew up, you know, we were on the same page. Like, it's some hard things in life with being a African-American male that you will face. And that the existence of that is real. And when I got to college down here, you know, I realized that not everyone was aware of that, and not that people weren't open to learning about it, but, you know, they just weren't aware of the situation that existed there. So the climate of everything happening here over the course of the last year or so, it's definitely brought forth a lot of great conversations I've been able to have with close friends. I'm very vocal on my social media page, especially back a couple months ago when everything was really heightened and protests were occurring. I love, you know, asking people to come with questions, have these conversations, giving opinions that can push people into some own like self-reflection and self-thought. So translating it into the music, I've tried to carry a lot of what I've learned from those conversations in a similar way, or give that perspective that I think a lot of people might not be privy to or might not realize, and then also share a lot of the pain that experiences that I've faced or close family members and friends have faced growing up, and putting that into the music, so that way not only can people get a better perspective of it, but also the people that have gone through these things can find somewhere that they can confide in with the music that relates to them.
It's important to talk about.
Yeah, I think so too.
And so what would you say is like the biggest misconception on like your genre of music and all that?
Yeah, no, it's always really funny because it's interesting because when I, you know, first introduced myself as like a rap artist. There's definitely a quick like rabbit hole or box people go to, you know, exactly, stereotyping it, thinking of what the music is, and that's a bigger conversation that I don't think we'd be able to have on this, just based on what
it's a very large.
What the corporate media or who kind of runs, you know, about a lot of big labels, they push a lot of music, especially within the hip hop and rap genre, into the faces or into the forefront of audience bases and dilute a lot of what really this genre is about. So I definitely think some misconceptions some misconceptions within this music is you know, a lot of it being guns, drugs, sex, violence, and not that these are topics that I avoid, but the way in which I present these topics, you know, I definitely think is in a much different way. And when people hear the music, they're like, oh, I didn't expect it to be this. You know, I didn't expect it to be something of this nature or such. So so while it's a relief, it's like still like I wish people would just be more open to, you know, just taking the time to listen to it and judge it for yourself than having that, you know, preconceived notion that, oh, Mo is a rap artist, like he must be talking about these things. So yeah.
Because there's a lot of different type of artists. Every artist is individual and different. And
exactly.
I think it's really cool. Like just in general, there's so many people out there, and your music's really awesome because it's so different than. Like I press shuffle, I was like, oh, okay. I heard the saxophone in the background. I was like, I appreciate a good saxophone in the background.
I try to keep a wide array of instruments within it. And this next project will have a lot of jazz influence as well. So if you're big into the horn section of instruments and kind of even some lo-fi vibes, this definitely has some things for you there.
And what is your biggest goal of your music, like in the future, current, just overall?
Yeah, I think the biggest goal I have, you know, even if I never make it to being the top selling artist, you know, in the USA, or, you know, have a #1 hit on the globe or on the charts, I think if I can continue making impact on my local communities and the people that, the communities that I'm making the music for, and spewing conversations forward, inspiring others to make decisions that they might not have made, or have a conversation within themselves with other people, you know, I think that there is amazing. You know, I'd say my biggest goal is to continue building up this independent record label that me and my best friend, who I started making music with, Ty, that we've started, and helping artists to navigate the industry, learning from the mistakes we've made and what we've learned after being in this for even only 5 years. And really pushing that forward. So, you know, I try not to put a set, like, there's a really nice part about having a set goal, or having somewhere say like a top 40 hit, or to have this many streams on a song. You know, while I do have those as things that I work towards, I don't have those as something that if I don't achieve, I won't be able to find happiness in what I'm doing. So.
Your accomplishments come from like personally, not what what everyone else is
exactly.
And so who is your dream collaboration? You could collaborate with anybody. You could have someone on your album. Just who would it be?
If I could have anybody on my album, a dream collaboration, I won't even do the dead or alive one. I'll just do the live to make it even simpler. I'd say right now, a dream collaboration, if I could share a song with Kendrick Lamar, that'd be pretty awesome. I think we have a lot of overlapping goals, and I just respect the journey he's taken. He was someone that I started following, you know, in late middle school, early high school range, you know. So seeing his trajectory of artistry and then what he represents within the culture and within the community, he's definitely someone up there. It's like, a dream collaboration for sure. He's cemented as a legend within not only hip hop, but just the music community in general.
So if anybody wanted to check out your music, they could check it out on Spotify, right? And is anywhere else?
Yep, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, Tidal. I've got some interesting stuff on SoundCloud too. A lot of people, you know, I keep that on the down low so that way the true fans, they can go to the SoundCloud and get some things that maybe missed the album or some in between areas there. But yeah, you can find all my music on all streaming platforms that you listen to your music on.
And that's MoeSOS DC?
Yep, MoeSOS DC. That's MoeSOS DC.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And so is there anything that we can look forward from you in the upcoming future? I know you have your album, Symptoms of Slavery.
Yep.
Anything else
So Symptoms of Slavery is going to be hitting November 11th, 2020. And then I will be starting off strong in 2021 with some singles and just some other songs, different vibes that I've been working on throughout this time while I prepare for my next full-length project, hoping to drop in the spring/summer of 21. So stay on the lookout for that.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. Looking forward to all your new music.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming in. And
yep. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
And now let's hear some things that people say in 2020 with our host, Heather Cunningham.
I really like your face mask. Where'd you get it? You know, I'm kind of starting to think that Dr. Fauci's kind of cute. Like, can I borrow your hand sanitizer? I'm so sorry. Do you have an extra mask? Just like one extra mask? Yeah, so I was working at my job at the bank the other day, and you'll never believe it. This guy comes in wearing a full ski mask, and I was so grateful because I do not want to catch COVID. Do you want to rewatch Tiger King? Do you want to rewatch Love is Blind? So do you think like normal bug spray will work against these like murder hornets? Do you think we're just gonna like wake up soon one day and it was like Inception and this whole stupid year was like a dream or something? Can you believe we screamed Happy New Year's for this crap? Wish the Olympics were on. I wish March Madness was on. I really miss sports. Hi guys, welcome to our first ever Zoom. All right, let me just make sure my camera's on. What? Are you saying I'm on mute? Oh, Charlene, I think you meant to mute yourself before you did that. I hate TikTok. I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Acting stupid, what's happening? What's happening? I'm savage. Have any movies come out this year? I miss going to the movies. I wish Tenet wasn't so hard to understand. I have no idea what that movie was about. Is 2020 over yet? Wow, 2020 has been wild, huh? Hope you enjoyed watching that just as much as I enjoyed filming it. That's our show, and we're sticking to it. Be sure to check out Moe's album coming out November 11th, and we'll happily see you next time on The Current.
Kiss your mother tonight. Before you leave about this house, make sure them covers is tight. Before you leave up on this route, make sure you hug her tonight. Once you leave from out this house, know you can't run from the light. Kiss your mother tonight. Kiss your mother tonight. Before you leave about this house, tell her you love her alright. Before you leave about this house, make sure them covers is tight. Once you leave about this house, know you can't run from the night. Kiss your mother tonight. Dear mama, I know it's been a couple years since I've been out on the road. I know it's been a couple years since I've been out on parole. I took that time right to the chin, the system, all that I know. I looked the judge right in his eyes when I had cried to let go. But now I'm back here in these streets, I swear I tried to let go. But this is all that I know. Gotta hustle every day, ain't had no father at home. Swear the court took him away when they bombarded our home. Now I'm the man up in this house, I'm just protecting our zone. Never wanted a chrome, but I can't even trust myself, man, my mentality gone. So I wrote you a song, I couldn't look you in your eyes, you know I'm never that strong. You would support me every day, even when I had done wrong. I know we ain't get along. I brought danger to your door, man, these decisions lifelong. Guess I haven't outgrown. No, I'm a king on the throne. But when I went up in that cell, feel I was left all alone. I was left on my own. You end up growing all the teeth from the beast that was shown. You end up turning to the monster that the media